One.
Injection, fellas.
Turn your radio up. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. Turn your radio up, homie. Listen to this. Hey, listen to this. Listen to this. You turn your radio up, cuz. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. You turn your radio up, cuz. Listen to this. Listen to this. Here we go. Hey, they need crank. They need a dog crank. Listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. Come on. Hey, they need crank. They need a dog crank. Here we go. DMV. Go girl worldwide. Hey, turn your radio up. It's the blend. It's the blend. Be money, need the Ravens in Vegas at it again. Turn your radio up. It's the blend. It's the blend. Be money, need the Ravens in Vegas at it again. Turn your radio up. It's the blend. It's the blend. It's the blend. Chicka, damn McLovin. Oh yeah. Come on. DC's on. DJ D Money. Monday and Wednesday, 6 to 10. Chicka, princess. Turn your radio up. It's the blend. It's the blend. Be money, Nika Ray Boots in Vegas at it again. Turn your radio up. It's the blend. It's the blend. Be money, Nika Ray Boots in Vegas at it again. Turn your radio up. It's the blend. It's the blend. Be money, Nika Ray Boots in Vegas at it again. Turn your radio up. It's the blend. It's the blend. Be money, Nika Ray Boots in Vegas at it again. Turn your radio up.
And we're blessed.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh my.
Not only is the Q on point, but it is the Blend Show. Back at you once again on a Wednesday at 8 o'clock. It's me, your man, DJ D Money. I'm representing for the armed services tonight. Of course, I got the one and only Miss Nika Ray Weather.
Oh, yes.
And the man, Bootsy Vegas.
Yeah.
Together we are the Blend Show, and we wouldn't be anything without you. So we appreciate you being here. This is how we get down each and every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. You know what I'm talking about. What's up? How y'all doing?
Feeling great. I made the curfew tonight, so that's great. I'm doing great.
You made curfew? Well, your mayor extended it a little bit because the Blend Show.
Oh, thanks, boo.
So it's like, 11 o'clock now, not 7, Man, it's been one heck of a weekend in the nation's capital. We call it the DMV, stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Bootsy Vegas, you are our political guru. Explain what's going on.
Man, well, the great thing about the Blend Show is we're all educated. So I guess if it's an explanation, you all can help with this one. Politics is one thing, but philosophy of what's going on is something else. It has been a crazy week here in Washington, D.C., and it's so many sides to this coin. So I know Nika wants to do something, and we are on the grid. So I guess before we probably can have this discussion, we should let Nika take the lead on this next part of the portion of the program.
You on it tonight, sir. You're on it tonight.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, this week I feel like it's been very overwhelming. And I think a lot of us feel like, aside from protesting, what can we do? And I feel like everybody wants to do something. They're not sure what they can do. And sometimes it's just a matter of acknowledgement, right, of knowing what's going on, awareness, and also education of others, and letting them know how you feel. So right now, and I just want to take the time to show our thoughts and prayers are definitely with all families that are going through this, and definitely with our protesters that are out there fighting for us as well. And just take a moment of silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, just the same time that George Floyd was in custody with the police officers prior to his death. And just have you guys join with us, just a moment of silence. And we'll go ahead and time this down for y'all, okay?
Them fools need to be put under the jail. Under the jail.
Absolutely. I mean, just sitting there, just thinking about that whole time, not being able to breathe and being in pain, like it's definitely overwhelming.
Yeah.
Well,
They should. What you say?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say they should really be under the jail, man. Forget that second. I know they upped it to second degree. That's a long time to be fighting right there.
Yeah, and I think the great thing is because the people have not been informed, they have arrested the other 3 officers. Will be arrested and charged as well. I'm very just interested. Did you guys check out the press conference when they announced the other 3 was going to be? Did you guys happen to check it out?
I saw the article, but I did not see the press conference.
It was very interesting. So the Black Attorney General, the guy who was doing the press conference, he kind of let it be known like, hey, this is just the first step, and an arrest does not mean a conviction. It was almost. Go ahead.
I about to say, I think I did see. I was watching CNN when Wolf was talking to him.
Yeah, he just seemed like he was setting us up. You know what I mean? And I guess
like, don't get your hopes high. You've seen this before, and they've gotten off with better evidence than what we have.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is, as the guy who is the leading prosecutor in the case, kind of tell you that it was like alarming. It wasn't like this is a fight for justice. You know, he laid it out, but he was like, hey, this is not a conviction. This is just an arrest. So almost like he was setting us up for something. Like he didn't sound like, no, this is the right thing to do. We need to be arresting them. It just the whole press conference really blew me, because I think now at this point they're trying to find a Band-Aid to possibly calm down all these protests.
It's too late. It's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late.
It's too late. And I have a theory. I actually posted a theory on my page, and I just really did. So about the fact that Amy Klobuchar was the one who is the lady who actually was leading it, and she announced it. And she's in the running to be Joe Biden's vice president.
Right.
But the one thing about that lady that everybody should remember about her, she refused to do any black press while she was running for president. To the point where Al Sharpton at a press conference stopped the press conference and said, excuse me, Ms. Klobuchar, that is Roland Martin over there. Could you please, he said this in front of a whole studio audience, a whole press conference. And she's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, cool. Like, so I wonder, is this some a political move? And I just hope Biden is not going to pull this lady in as his vice president. I know I'm really going ahead, but at the end of the day, if anybody in Minnesota felt that strong about it, these people would have been arrested the first and second day. It wouldn't have took all these mass protests and burning for you to make a decision or feel like this was something that needed to be done. All this seemed like we're being set up for something. It really does.
Yeah. What puzzles me is, okay, after the first day of rioting, the first day of protest, okay, I'm thinking as if I'm the governor or head chief of Minnesota's police department.
Right.
We got this issue. The dude go out, okay, after the first night of them tearing my city up, instead of doing a press conference saying calm down, because I watched the mayor say calm down. I was up that time.
Yeah.
I'm taking them cameras and I'm walking door to door to them 3 officers' houses, because I'm going to put it on camera, live TV, like 48. Or we're apprehending these 3 right now. The first day I seen them tearing my city up.
Right.
It's no storyline. It's no press release. You're watching this. Who is it? Come on out here, bro.
Right.
You're under arrest for the da, and I'll figure out the charges later.
Right.
But I'm putting this on national TV, and it after the first night of riding.
And the whole time while that was going on, I was waiting for somebody to take a real leadership role. I was looking for somebody locally there or nationally. Like, I really wanted to see some leadership. Like, no, we're not going for this. This is not going to happen. And it's kind of like everybody, even Biden, everybody got their hands up. They're waiting for the next person to do it. Well, I don't know. Everybody's just pandering around. and nobody wants to do what obviously needs to be done. We saw a murder being committed on film, so it's time to arrest them. Like the whole thing is baffling.
We've seen it all before, as the song say. We've seen it all before. Shout out to some of the DB1s in the building, man. They was with us through the moment of silence. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Tito, Ron, Doc, my man Derek, Eric, Easy, Thomas, Rodney, right. Mike, and rapper dude peeping through the window. What's up, sir? Yeah,
Christian.
Yes. But yeah, man. It's wild how this whole thing has been like. I've seen a few things in life, and I was talking to my household today. I've never seen nothing like this
ever.
You know, Baltimore wasn't this bad.
Yeah. Now let me ask y'all this question. What is your guys' perspective on the rioting that is happening in DC? Because it seems like we got agitators, we got protesters, and we got a bunch of people that are protesting and doing stuff for various reasons. For some reason, it don't feel like a collective effort that we're all
it's
doing
not one accord. It's opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say absolutely what you're saying. It's like pouring salt on a wound that never healed. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's like getting agitated to that point where, you know, I don't know if you've seen the post. It was like 2020 is that quiet kid that everybody keep picking on, because it's just like you sitting there, you taking it, you letting people pick on you, from here to here to here to here to here to here, and eventually you've had enough and you pop. So a lot of people are popping for different reasons. Right. You know what I mean? Because of them being agitated by what has been happening and has been, occurring. Every little piece is just poking. Some people are for, the social injustice, and it's all about George Floyd and getting justice. So, people are just against racial profiling, period. I mean, it all has one collective meaning of, obviously, we're in a system that does not work for us and works against us. But at the same sense, it's so many things that come under that umbrella that everybody is tired.
But the interesting thing is there are mass protests all over the world.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
It's left the continental United States.
I mean, at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong. And what happened was wrong. And it's just like, how many times does it have to be wrong before we get it right?
Right.
Yeah.
But for other people in other countries to feel the same way, because normally I'll be wondering, can they identify what African Americans in America go through? But to see that this thing has really resonated all over the world. Like, I looked at England today. I looked at France today. Like, there were mass protests, but I don't know if people saw this one protest, because this ain't been on the news. I don't know if y'all seen it. Portland, Oregon literally covered a whole bridge. It's a big, long bridge, almost like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. They literally covered the whole bridge. Literally. It was a mass. That was the biggest demonstration I've seen so far. It had to be at least 20 to 30,000 people on this bridge today.
Wow. I didn't see that.
I did see on, I'm sorry, D-Money, see on CNN, they had a map, and they were like, it's officially been that all states have literally had at least one part of some city within the state that had some type of protest. Like, it had the whole map in red.
Utah?
Every state.
Utah?
I didn't say every part of the state. I just said every state.
Wow. But I wish I knew this young brother's name. I did see a clip online. I don't know if you all seen it.
Oh, I saw it.
Of a little youngin from Northeast DC.
I posted it.
And they they had a fire or something going downtown in the middle of the street. And he pretty much was like telling them, stop feeding this fire, because y'all can protest and do this, but you ain't burning my city down. We live here. And that's going back to E's point about, who's really in the nation's capital doing this. You know what I'm saying? And he asked that dude, like, where you from, dude? Made up real quick answer, say VA. He said, we're going back to the Commonwealth so they can hang you, because we got to live here once it's over with.
And the interesting thing is, they released the second or third day of protest, they released the names of people and where they from, and I would say maybe only.
I did see that.
Maybe
It was their
like
name, their
5 were from,
age.
yeah.
But
Maybe
yeah, I
5
did
from
see that.
DC. Everybody else was from Virginia, bro. Like they not even from here. So I'm like, because I had this conversation with my boss. I'm like, bro, ain't no way nobody from the hood of Northeast or Southeast go get in their car and go all the way up Connecticut Avenue to go protest. We'll just stay in our hood, but ain't nobody go commute.
Right.
No real DC person go get in their car, park, get out, and go commute up there to go protest. I'm like, nah, dog. Like, hey, don't.
Yeah, we don't think like that. We don't think like that. We don't move like that.
Unfortunately, we don't. You know what I mean? And the only thing that I thought it might have been them was when I saw that the Sabiato store got hit up. But I'm like,
yeah. Well,
I think that was more personal than what's going on in the world.
You said it was personal?
I think that might have been something personal than what's going on in the world. I don't think it really had anything. It was like, you know what? This is my opportunity. Let me go ahead. Like you said earlier, it might be a little bit of opportunity in there. I don't know if it necessarily had, you know, and granted, I'm not saying that there hasn't been people that the people at Sabiato may have had some racial profiling in the store. So it was just like, hey, let me get back. They on revenge at this point.
But homie,
they got Apple out there.
Let me say this: they got Gucci, Prada, Apple, Gap, Amber and Fitch. They got all. But you go hit Sabiato.
Well, they hit they hit my fam, the museum.
Yeah, they did hit the museum.
They hit the museum. I think they just got the window. I don't think they actually went in the place because I looked at the damage. I talked to Jahar, so yeah. But they came uptown too, because they got Upshur Street Northwest, which used to be predominantly when it was Chocolate City. That was the birthplace of the Petworth Band. For those that's 60 and older who might have flipped on, welcome. Bands like Freeform. I mean, I'm going back like way back in the day, but now due to gentrification, they got them stores up there too. They didn't mess with Major though. Major is located in that corridor, but they got them other stores that was, and then those might have been personal, Nika Ray, because they run them people out of that area. And I've been living uptown, like Big G say, I'm a uptown dude, and they run me from around there, and I have to let them know, hey, you the one visiting. Yeah. But they tried what? They got a few CVS's uptown.
I mean, a lot of the places that they're tagging or hitting or vandalizing, whatever term you want to use at this point, they have insurance. So that's not really a hit for them. I mean, and at this point, we're hurting our city more than anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even seeing, I don't know if you guys saw the video, it's been so many clips and so many additional stories. Like I said, it's been very overwhelming. It's like, do I not watch? Do I watch? You need a break from it. And then you get all these emotions that come out. Like I've seen so many people, I feel like within the Black culture, it's like shunned upon to go to therapy. And I feel like a lot of people need therapy from the things that they've gone through, but they hold it in. And I'm seeing so many people just coming out with stories of different situations that happen to them when it comes to being racially profiled or being abused by the cops and just seeing these experiences. And these are people that I know, and seeing posts. I saw a post the other day where it was just like shared 1 million times because it was like, how old were you when the police first pulled a gun on you? And I saw that. And it was my friend that made the original post. And we have so many mutual friends that I saw that everybody on that list was like 12, 13, 14, 15. Like they were kids when this first happened to them. So just imagine if they started then and what they go through now. And if they have kids that age, like you're angry at this point. So it's going to be a lot of things that you're going to try to express. You want to go down there because you're trying to do it for yourself, for your family, for your kids, kids. And it's just like, is it going to be enough?
Well, they always say, you never forget the bridge that brought you over. You take care of home. Right. I went down the U Street corridor. They not messing with oohs and ahs. They didn't mess with Ben's Chili Bowl. They it's a couple Afro-American spots that they passed up. And I know Bootsy Vegas wanted to talk a little bit about something that happened out on the West Coast that relates to that type of connection of what you hit and what they didn't hit.
Yeah, because it's interesting because they did not, if people who've been watching the news, there have been massive protests in LA, all in the county and in the city, but no Kobe Bryant murals have been tagged, touched, or hit up at all. Like not a one.
They didn't touch the Marathon store or anything either. When it comes to Nipsey Hussle, that whole little shopping center, they ain't touch it.
Yeah, they didn't. Man. They knocked the fence down.
Well, I guess the only advice I can say is, I mean, just use your brain. And at this point, what purpose are you really serving? Because it's like it's really serving no purpose right now. I mean, we got better things that we do need to worry about, and we need to organize and galvanize because we do have a presidential election coming up. And a supreme shout out to everybody in DC and PG County who stood in them lines yesterday. Let me say this: it was a 38% surge of voters in east of the river, Ward 7 and Ward 8, which was amazing. So shout out to everybody that stayed in line. And I know this could be personal, but a supreme shout out to Trayon White for Ward 8 councilman who got reelected. Praise God. He got the work going. So I just wanted to say that to him. But congratulations, Ward 8 and Ward 7 east of the river for showing up last night and braving those lives. I
saw somebody ride past the Bach Road and they had the camera going towards like all the cars. And I mean, every lane was
right. Hey, keep that same energy in November, baby. Keep that same
energy. Yeah, well, speaking of energy, we got some guests tonight, Bootsy Vegas.
Oh, we got some guests, and I think one of them is ready. So I think we probably should just go ahead, crank one good song up, and let the big homie in, because the first guest is me and your homie. You know, he our homie for real. He our homie. So
yeah,
it is.
All right, so let's get into a song, and then we'll bring them in. All right.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. Hey, it's the Blend Show right here. Facebook, YouTube, streets. Let's go. Hey, some things we just got to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? What's up, Jerry? Thanks for checking in. Keisha, April, Dave, what's up? Leonard, what's up? Come on. See Kevin, what's up? Uptown, what's up? I need y'all to share this feed. Let's go. Clap your hands, y'all. JR, what's up? Hey, Renee, thanks for checking in. LB, what's going on, homie? Yes, sir. Hey, Don Juan, what's up? Good to see you, Larry. Hey, D, we just got to keep it 1,000, D, because 100 not good enough. I need y'all to share this feed. We got special guests coming up. You don't want to miss this. Make sure you take care of your household. Don't forget the Rona is still real. Trust me. I think we're going to give you some crank tonight. We're going to give you some crank. You need to hang in here with us.
Hey, Joe, we ain't got no monster, Joe. We need you back here.
We got the homie coming up. You want to know who it is? Stick and stay. Lock it and leave it, y'all. It's the blend, it's the blend. Let's go.
Also, we got that thing onto that whole damn bird farm. They down here. We look here. Also, I'm speaking on the honey. They come down here. With the power. What about?
What's up, Bam? Bam 640, what's up? Shout out to the ladies at Go-Go. Y'all was looking good, sounding good today. Yeah!
Come on, son, let's get it going. Is that the way? Go ahead and put it. What else work? Let's get it. Hey. Wow. Let's get down to Mr. Lamont. Also, my nigga Boo, Miss Irene. Let me see them honey.
Let me go back in the crates a little bit, Bam. Let me go in the crates a little bit, Bam.
Also, we gonna go get them down for Chico. And also that fat double O. You still here, Joyce? You still here, Joyce? Well, then let it go.
Let me go in the crates a little bit, Bam. Take it up top. Uh-oh. You gotta be an early fan to understand this. You gotta be an early fan to understand this crank. Hey, Mike, you don't know my library, Mike, so stop trying.
I'm gonna do that thing with your daughter. I got a long old ding-a-ling. And if your girl can hang, I'm gonna do that thing with your daughter. Give it up and never look out.
Gotta be an early fan to understand this.
Big rock, big turkey, big Raymond, all the 35 002. Big J for baby J. No stuff for my baby Chili. All the 35
The negative, Mike. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later, Mike. That's not true. But look here, y'all. We about to get it back to the studios. I think our special guest is ready. You need to share this feed. You need to share this feed right here.
Incredible.
That good crank.
Hey,
really
I'm sick of
for that one.
Huh?
You went into the crates for that one.
Yeah, but why does Mike think he knows everything that I play, son?
Okay, what
I can tell him that he was wrong on this one.
Well, that's from the Red Door Lounge, right?
That's two wrongs on this one.
Okay, no problem. Okay, well, I won't even do it. Anyway, hey, it is the Blend Show. Nika Ray, DJ D Money, your boy Boosie Vegas. This first guest, he has a lot of history, and he might be the most accomplished sports person we've ever had on the Blend Show. This person has a lot of stats, but two of the stats that he got that is amazing. He is the highest drafted cornerback in NFL history. So that's number one. And he is the only NFL player ever to lead his team in interceptions and sacks the year he played for the Redskins. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friendship, my big homie, one of the most down-to-earth, humblest human beings I've ever met, along with being funny. Welcome to the Blend Show, Shawn Springs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
Hey, Saleh, you wild,
Hey,
man.
man. Hey, man.
All right. And that go-go took me way back to my Colonial Village days, Glass Manners days.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
wow.
You
We
went to
took.
Colonial Village, man.
Hey, you actually went to Oxon Hill Elementary School, right?
I went to Glass Manor, man, right up on the top of the hill.
Wow.
Right there by Colonial Village. And I went to middle school over in Maryland, man. I moved over to Sula. I went to Benjamin Stoddard, right behind Iverson.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Shout out to
boy.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Hey,
Y'all took me back with that. You took me back with that one, right?
hey, I like to hear that.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome first. Thank you, because I know you are a CEO of a major corporation. People just think you're just an ex-football player, but you are actually a CEO of a major corporation. So thank you for just taking the time out to do this, because there's a bunch of information we would like to get. But I think the first perspective I would like to ask, I don't know if you just saw this, Drew Brees is trending right now. And he really is. He's trending for his comments of the Colin Kaepernick thing. Just as a former NFL player, were you really surprised at the backlash that Colin Kaepernick got? And are you surprised that NFL players are still bashing him for his stance?
Man, it's crazy. You know, first of all, I had some meetings all day, and my phone just kept blowing up. Like, man, you see what Drew Brees said. You see what Drew Brees said, and I haven't really just like really sat down and looked at it. But when I saw Malcolm Jenkins, somebody was like, your boy Malcolm's on he crying, and I know how Malcolm is. He passionate is, and Michael Thomas. I know they both Ohio State Buckeyes. Give a shout out to my Buckeyes. I mean, they straight up dudes. They stand for something. You know what I'm saying? They don't fall for anything. And and for them to be that passionate and get something. But I can't even believe it. As far as Colin Kaepernick, man, just first of all, let's give a shout out to that brother. You know, because he risked his career to protest. You know, I know we're protesting and winning unprecedented times now. But, I mean, I don't think everybody really understands how big that was for a man to take a knee and really be on the sideline and give his career up and stand for something. I mean, that man left, you know, probably $30-40 million on the table, and it means something. So all the young kids, when you're thinking about the LeBrons and the Steph Currys and out there, y'all better lift that man up, because that man is, you know, he's an inspiration, and, you know, he's a trailblazer for even people like myself who played 13 years in the league, but now I'm trying to break into the tech world. It ain't easy.
Wow.
It ain't easy, and it's real out here. And, you know, I've been in meetings where they looked at me like, man, you like basically a dumb athlete, or what you know about this? Why are you in this world? Why are you trying to make a difference? So going back to the Colin Kaepernick thing, man, I take my hats off to that dude. And I support it, man. And we're in this crazy times. I was listening to what y'all was saying, man. It's real out here, man.
Yeah.
It's real out here. So I got, you know, and brothers are hurting. You know, I'm on the phone with, you know, CEOs and leaders of companies who, you know, who are, or executives who are brothers in law firms. And they, you know, these grown men crying because they're the only IP attorneys or something like that. Actually, doing some good positive work out there, but they getting pushed down. They the ones doing all the work, but they getting pushed down. They the ones getting on know while they same peers, you know, who they're more qualified is getting pushed ahead of them. So, I mean, hey, I really appreciate being in the blend. You know, it's
Oh yeah.
you can't call me. I only. You know it get real now.
Absolutely.
You know it's gonna get real.
Absolutely.
And I ain't get the
This is
yeah, bro.
my hair.
Well,
Cut this.
we are having a little
He's talking about his afro and his haircut.
Nah, I think
okay.
it's open up, but
Shawn got Teddy Riley.
I'm gonna keep it 100 on the show now, so.
Okay, so
we gonna keep it 100 too.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Is that me?
your Wi-Fi is going in and out bad, bro. Your Wi-Fi is going in and out bad.
Some
Like
service.
Yeah, come on, baby. I mean, we
think
can't
so.
hear nothing.
Am I back?
You back now? Okay, you back.
Am I back?
Yeah.
You're back. You're back because
All right,
anytime people talking good about me, I need to hear it. Like I need to hear it. I don't get this often. Jesus.
Yeah, you know you my man. That's what's up.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this next question. I guess the next question I want to ask is, now that all this controversy that we've been having, all these sports athletes speaking up, do you think they may be a little bit more receptive to people protesting this year in the NFL, or do you think it's going to be those same type of Colin Kaepernick rules moving forward?
Come on, you know what? I think they're gonna treat it the same way, man. I think that at the end of the day, we as black people, we've been fighting for a seat at the table, and these owners really don't want to. They're afraid to give us a seat at the table, but I don't know what they're afraid of. Hey, we the one building their billion-dollar empires.
Absolutely.
We the one bringing the fans out to the stand. So we need to be heard, but I don't know what the answer is to get these billionaires to really understand, other than hit their pocket. Now, if you really want to protest, really want to do something more with Colin Kaepernick, if they had walked out of the stadium, maybe they would have listened to us.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So,
wow.
But everybody got to be on board with that. We can't have some people saying, yeah, I want to do it. And I know everybody's situation is different. I know everybody can't afford to do it. But at some point, it's going to take all of us to band together to be able to say, you know what, regardless if I'm the highest paid dude on the team or I'm just a free agent just trying to get it, you got to stand for something, man, because you got to be the difference maker to really make the change, because we need a seat at the table. It's time for us to have a seat at the table.
Wow. I guess the next question I want to ask, because I know my co-host got questions, and I definitely want him to jump in, but I want to know, in your professional opinion, being a 13 NFL vet, do you think there's an issue with NFL teams hiring minority head coaches? Do you think that's a real issue, or maybe it's too much? Maybe it's emphasized and it's too much. Maybe it's a whole lot more into it than what we know. Or do you think there is a real issue in hiring minority coaches in the NFL?
Do you like go music?
I hate Shawn
That's
Springs.
obvious. Sally, that's a problem. We got to do something.
Teddy.
Like,
okay. Spring Road. Can we do this,
like,
Spring Road. Springs. Shawn, can we find a better Wi-Fi spot for you? Can we take a music break? We're gonna take a music break, and can you possibly find a good Wi-Fi spot in your Wi-Fi is hard, bruh. How are you a CEO of a successful and your Wi-Fi is doing this to us? I've waited all my life to interview you. You understand this? I've waited all my life to interview you, Spring Road, and your joke is freezing up. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna let Shawn Springs find some Wi-Fi, and we're gonna come back and convene these questions in a very few minutes, because he's blowing my life. I waited all my life for this, Spring Road. DJ D Money on the ones and twos. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
Yeah. All right, let's go, man. This is how we do it, man. It's the Blend Show. It's live. What's up, Blue? My man Blue Eye Junkyard Band in the building. But I want to debut. No, I'm not going to debut, but you might only hear this on the Blend Show. All right, let's get it.
Yeah. This your girl Justice J of that good Mental Attraction Band 2.0. It's mental, baby. And y'all are tuned in to DJ D Money, cranking on them ones and twos. Hey, DJ D Money, turn me up. Let's go.
We feeling real good.
Brand new MAB right here, 2.0. Featuring my sis, Justice J, y'all.
Come on, hey.
What's up?
To my headphones, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling?
What's up, Sabrina?
Headphones,
Good to see you. This is what I do.
ladies, how you feeling?
Damo, what's up?
Headphones, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling? Headphones, check my nails. Ladies, how you feeling? Hey! Ooh, child, tired of the issue. I'm going down to shoulders on. Keep it moving. Yeah.
We're gonna get Shawn Spring straight. We'll be back with the OG.
We're going to the issue. Come down to dry your eyes. You know you're a star.
Somebody tell Justice J. Tell them it may be fam. I got them cranking inside the blend. Let's go.
Don't love you anymore. Hey, then walk your front eyes out that door. Into your headphones, check my nails. Ladies, how you feeling? 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 Hey. Woo, girl, need to kick on your shoes. Go and take a deeper time to focus on you.
Let's work.
The big price, long nights that you've been through. I got a bottle.
What's up, June?
Hey, what's up and change your life? You know you can feel no sacrifice.
Party mode, crank shop, CEO.
So go and let it all hang out tonight. We don't love you anymore. Then walk your fine eyes out that door.
Hey, Ronnie Bullets, how to say it.
New MAB 2.0.
Check my nails. Ladies, how you feeling?
Wanna go home, Jack?
Check my nails. Ladies, how you feeling? Headphones, check my nails.
I need the beat to crank. Ain't a way, right here,
Feeling good.
right here,
Crank train in the building.
right here,
Feeling good.
It's the blend. We gonna tighten up my man Shawn Springs Wi-Fi. And we'll be back, all right? In the meantime, in between times, you rocking with Uptown Boy. As my man Big G would say.
Pisces, got a birthday.
Check my nails.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold that great light.
All right, let's take it back to the studios. I think we got my man Shawn back.
Long time no boogie J-Lo.
Let's see what's up. Spin show. Shout out to Justice J, MAB. Brand new joint right there. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. Did we get the Wi-Fi straight?
Please, bro. Come on, Spring Roll. You're killing me, baby. I waited all my life for this interview. Since you played for the Patriots.
Listen, I definitely was. That's why I was like, Teddy? Are we having a Teddy moment?
Really?
He back, nigga?
He was.
He was?
He was. Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know. I hope he get it together. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't be out here talking about you got a tech company and you can't get your Wi-Fi. Who took the Wi-Fi password from you?
Well, he just told me that he is at a training facility training his son.
Oh, God.
So a lot of people don't know he actually has twin boys who both play Division I football. One of them played for Georgetown. One of them played for Arizona. So he said he was there. He is. So
okay.
my man was training his sons. You know what I mean? and that is an NFL face only a mother could love. Look how you look though, like Rizzy, I love you, baby.
Shawn, don't let him get on you like that.
Hey, first of all, Shawn can give it just as good as anybody else. Spring Roll, you back, baby?
I can't hear nothing.
Okay.
It's your Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Snapple Wi-Fi. Did you do that?
Okay.
Sally, can you hear me?
Yeah. We can
We can hear
but
you.
You can't hear us? We can
My
hear
ex-wife got cheap Wi-Fi at her house.
Because you don't pay the bills.
She said I don't pay my child support.
Oh.
Can't hear nothing.
Okay. Log off and come back in, bro.
You on mute?
I ain't on mute.
Are you good now? Man.
I don't know.
I'm scared.
And this is my favorite show ever. I'm gonna be on every day. Say what's up.
Are you sure you're not on mute?
Hey, don't
Hi.
wait.
We can hear.
Go up, Sally.
We can hear her. We can hear y'all.
Good audio.
We can hear you.
We can hear y'all.
Now you're on mute. Take your. I can unmute him with.
Bootsy Vegas.
Oh.
Hit him offline, Bootsy. Let's respect that, man.
Okay.
That's my friend and yours. Hit him offline.
I took
Explain
him
what's
out.
going on.
Come back. See if he come back in and if he don't come back, look at the fans though. They killing me, bro. Like, come on, man. Y'all can't do my man like this.
Let's go ahead and tighten him up. Hit him offline. Explain what's going on.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
One more roll. One more shaking. What's up, BJ? You missed your own song, BJ.
Yeah, but
Okay, we gonna wait for him to get that together because I don't know what is happening over there.
Okay, so
Only on the Blend Show. Only on the Blend Show.
Yeah.
Only on the Blend Show, bro. You know what I mean? And you know, one thing that me and D Money know is he's very open and honest. He'll tell you, you know what I mean? He gonna keep it real, realer than real. He gonna keep it real. Like I actually prepped for this interview, and I know him. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Okay.
I'm back.
You got it, Shawn?
I'm back, man.
Okay.
I cashed after and paid a Wi-Fi bill.
Well, welcome back, sir. Welcome back. I think
hey, man, I apologize, Sally. I'm like Teddy Riley on here, man.
Yeah, the fans have already been calling you that.
They been calling you TR.
Yeah, they already calling you that, man. Anyway, I think we left off of. Are you surprised at the fact that there's such a lack of minority head NFL coaches in the NFL, and do you think that will ever change anytime soon?
I don't know, man. I think we need to see that at the table, and we need to have more general managers, and we need to have more minority coaches because, obviously, when you look at the young coaches around the league, they're hiring the Shawn McVays, they're hiring some of the guys that I personally know, and there's some qualified brothers out there that's not getting picked up. Eric Bieniemy at Kansas City comes to mind is
crazy.
A monster, right?
Crazy.
And yet he gets overlooked. Didn't even get a chance to interview as a job. And you think about some of the players and that have come to the league who are smart guys. I like John Lynch, he's my man at San Fran, but there's a lot of brothers who play in the league who could be general managers. I can go over Washington right now and tell them what they need to do right now over the Skins. You know what I'm saying?
What they need to do. What they need to do then. Tell us. Tell us what they need to do.
Change the name for one. Maybe it might be the name, Shiley. It might be the Redskins that's getting them. We got to think about that. No, but seriously, I think for them, and I love the RG3 pick, but that decision to give up those first round picks, that built the Rams team. So for me, they started off with a franchise quarterback. We're going to see how Dwayne pans out. They're making smart moves now as far as building from the defensive side of the ball, with Allen and Payne and the guys in the interior. And then you get my man out of Ohio State, Chase Young. So they're bringing in the young talent. I think now it's how do we put weapons and continue to build on the base that we have. And it takes good coaches. We need to give some brothers some chances.
Well, speaking of Dwayne Haskins, I know you got a real personal relationship with Haskins. How great do you think he can be, and what do you think the ceiling is for him? just from somebody
Well,
that knows them because you know them in high school?
Well, and people, for the first time they got to see Dwayne a little bit the second half of last year, and I've been knowing him from Bullis High School. But to give the background on it, I brought Dwayne down. I saw him in New Jersey. He was friends with my kid, and brought him down and lived with me for about 6 months, and then we got him over to Bullis, and then we got him at Ohio State. So the thing with Dwayne, that was really his only second year. He started 1 year at Ohio State, put up 51 touchdowns, and then he went to the Washington Redskins, and it was a change for Dwayne because the receivers that he had at Ohio State was better than the receivers at Washington. And I love Terry McLaurin. Just think about it. Terry McLaurin, who was the man at Washington, was our fourth receiver at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So it was an adjustment. That's a true fact. Now that's a true fact, right? So Terry would tell you that he was our fourth guy there. So it was a little adjustment. So Dwayne was so used to having talent around, and I said, Dwayne, for you, we got to show up the front. You got to get some weapons around, and I think that the Redskins know that he's capable of doing it. Are we gonna be patient in DC? To give him a chance. We need some talent around him. Are we gonna do all the right things to go out and get some talent? I love. Personally, Antonio Brown is my little homie. I've been talking to him about things. I would love for him to give somebody like Antonio Brown a shot. I think he has the right personality. He's a good fit for DC, who could possibly do some things here with a quarterback like Dwayne. I think he knows enough, and I think he realizes that the window of opportunity is small for him, that he'll come and do some big things. Shout out to my boy Antonio Brown. We need people like that.
Wow.
Is that I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask him, still NFL related, but I just wanted to know, because you're like the only person that I really know that faced Tom Brady every day in practice. Did he go to the well one too many times as far as his career?
My man Tom, it's hard to say something bad about Tom, man. And you know what? I don't even know how to really answer than other that Tom is just he's a professional. He works his ass off. He's probably one of the hardest working people I've ever met, and we're gonna be interesting to see what happens for him in Tampa. When Tom is different, so we're gonna see what happens.
Okay. And one other question. I know you get asked this a lot, but who's the toughest SOB receiver that you faced that you can recall?
Yeah, that's nice. That's one. I'm gonna tell people. A lot of people don't know, man, but for me, it was either had to be Randy or Jimmy Smith. I don't know if y'all remember Jimmy Smith.
Jacksonville.
Jimmy was nice, bro. A lot of people don't know about Jimmy because he was quietly killing in that franchise. Jimmy got a little pass with him, so the NFL didn't highlight the way he got in a little bit of trouble. But right. Jimmy, man, you talking about just a good, fast, strong, physical type cat, man. He could do it all. And then Randy is Randy. You know what I'm saying? Randy was the type of guy where you knew he only was gonna run 2 or 3 routes, but stopping a go for Randy was, in a post, man. He only run 3 routes, a go, post, and maybe a slant. But other than that, it was unstoppable. But I had some good battles with him.
Okay, and one last one. I know Nika got to put one in there. Speaking of Randy Moss, we got his son here. It seems like he got a chip on his shoulder because he was overlooked with his pedigree as a professional player. Is that really a motor? Does that really kick you in there like more than the average person coming in?
Yeah, I think for him, he does have the pedigree, and obviously he's gonna get a lot of comparisons to his dad. But I think what really pisses him off is he balled at LSU, the top program in the country. He was a man down there. He put in work, and they had 14 to 15 people get drafted in the draft, and he probably should have been one of them that got drafted. And I'm not quite sure why he didn't. Maybe it was a speed or size combination.
Right.
But we need people with that nastiness, the attitude that's going to come in here, want to roll up their sleeves and bring that grit that DC is about. See, that's been the history. I heard you talking about Chocolate City earlier. Now it's the international city, but when you took us way back,
I tend to call it Swirl City.
Yeah. But when I grew up in Oxon Hill, and then I moved over to Suitland with my mom, it was about that grit, and that's what everybody cared, and that's where, when people, they put their flag at half staff when the Redskins lose, And we need that, and we need the players that play in our organization to feel that it means something. It means something to the people here. And I just been a couple times I done came out of park in love and Shawn just dapped me up. Was like, man, I appreciate it. That meant something to me. And Salih would tell you that, I care, man, because it don't matter how much money you make or, what billboards you on. When the little youngin in your street, when I used to go back down to Colonial Village, when the little youngin on the street said he looked up to me and said, I like what you doing out there, and I inspired him, and I bought all the kids some money at the ice cream truck. I was like, I was y'all.
Right.
So what I'm saying? So that's what I play for, and that's what I want everybody who come to DC and play for the Redskins. I want them to feel that.
That's what's up. Nigga Ray?
I just want to touch on a little bit of what's going on right now. I know we talked about it a tad bit in the beginning, but with COVID-19 and now with all the protests that are going on for the, social and racial injustice, how do you foresee the next season coming up for the NFL and the changes that may be occurring?
Well, obviously, let's start with the global pandemic we're in right now. I mean, I think we could, I take it serious, and I think the NFL is going to take it serious as far as, the health and safety of the players and even, the fans in there, obviously. I think that's something you can never forget, that lives matter. All lives matter when it comes to you talking about a disease or a flu that doesn't discriminate. So I think that we got to take in consideration people need to be safe. And I think the season will go on and make some moderations, maybe even push it back or shorten camp and stuff like that. So the NFL, they smart and they do something. But as far as the protest is going on, the NFL, we touched on it a couple of times about black coaches, black general managers, Colin Kaepernick giving up his career for standing up for something. I think all these young brothers who's in this league and they on their platform, it's time for you guys to speak out and say enough is enough. And I didn't hear what Drew Brees said, but I know, I hear Malcolm was tearing up, and I know Michael Thomas, a little young, my boys from Ohio State. I know they're going to stand for something. So I hope all these players really just, in other leagues, baseball, basketball, NFL, I hope all these players just really just stand up and just, because people, we hurt, and we black men, black athletes that people are looking up to, the Muhammad Ali's of the world, who the one I can remember where everybody was like, he was an advocate, the Jim Browns and football that I can remember. Now is a platform for who's going to be the next Muhammad Ali, who's going to be the next Jim Brown, who's going to be the next person. And LeBron has been speaking out a little bit, but who's going to be next to really share that platform and say enough is enough.
Wow. Well, we got you on this platform, Shawn. I know, you are our local sports hero. Me and E know you personally and everything, but elaborate a little bit on your entrepreneurship that you got going on.
Yeah, man. My company, Winpact, we're a technology and material science company. We focus on like impact protection, working with product companies like Under Armour and Evo Shield, Wilson, and baseball, football helmets. I work with the Department of Defense and large automotive. We improve their products. For y'all out there, I know y'all know Gore-Tex. You got them Timberlands on. We like the Gore-Tex we like the Gore-Tex for impact protection. So you think about the impact we can solve for, whether it's an interior of a vehicle or whether it's a helmet or something like that, we solve for it. So, and it's been a journey, man, because, in football, I'm so used to being an athlete. If you work hard, your talent show. But in the business world, it's real apparent that they try to keep you in your place.
Okay.
So it takes people 45 minutes to get past the fact that I can have a conversation. I do know how to read a balance sheet. I do know how to hire. I do know how to identify talent and make decisions that's constantly adding value to our business. Mm-hmm. And talking about need a seat at the table. I'm inspired to make sure I'm keep going so I can have success, so I can have the next young brother, who said, man, not only can I be an athlete, but I can be an entrepreneur. I can be a CEO. I can make that Dubai money. So me and Salih, we like the patios. Dubai. You know what I'm saying? So,
Is it DMV based? Are you based here in the DMV area?
Yeah, we out in Northern Virginia, man. We out in the Leesburg area, and we way out there by Dulles Airport. If y'all know the Leesburg outlets, we right there, not too far from Leesburg, Ashburn. It's easy for our engineers to take, international flights and stuff like that. Plus, the rent cheaper than DC. DC got that high rent district, man. So,
Yeah.
so y'all in a high rent district in the city, man. So I had to move out where it's a little cheaper.
I definitely want to ask this question before we get you out of here, because I always wanted to ask you this. I never had a conversation with you about this. How good was Shawn Taylor, and do you think he would have been a Hall of Famer?
Man, wow. You know how to touch the nerve, don't you, E?
Yeah, but it's a reason why I never asked you, though. It is a reason. So
I spent a lot of time with Shawn. I was one of the only guys in the meeting room for 5 years, man, and the kid was incredible. And E, you might have remembered that was the same year that Shawn died. My dad went into a coma,
right?
And I remember sitting beside Shawn every day, and he was like, "Man, I don't even know how you balling like this," and but he was always an inspiration. But to make a long story short, that year meant something to me. My dad was in a coma, and he was supporting me through that. And he came full circle, man. Because if you would have said 5 years ago, Shawn was about, Shawn doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to see his maturity, to see, not his game was ridiculous. His game was off the charts since he stepped on the field.
Right.
Bonafide Hall of Famer, legit 6'3", running. Got the right demeanor, right personality, everything you're looking for in an athlete. But when his mind caught up with his body, he was stupid. It changed. I mean, and that's one of the things that hurt this organization, because, Shawn would have been probably about his 10th year right now on the Hall of Fame track. And some of the decisions that was made after he left, trying to get LaRon Landry, trying to get Adam Archuleta, trying to replace Shawn. Nah, bro. Sometimes people ain't replaceable, man. And you can search a long time, but very few and far between guys like Shawn come around.
Do you think he would have been the greatest safety ever?
I don't know. I don't know how to. I'm not gonna say that, because I just don't want to disrespect the guys that came before me, like the Ronnie Lotts of the world.
Right.
Some guys played.
Mel Blunts.
The Eric Reeds. It's some nice cats that came in the league. But I think he would have been the conversation.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta. Sally, I love him to death. I just gotta respect the body of work some people put in, man.
Right, man. Well, look here. We appreciate you dealing with us tonight with this Wi-Fi. I would love to continue this conversation, and I want you to know we're gonna have young Scholar on here in 2 weeks. So you gotta get whatever you gotta get, because I'm on me in 2 weeks. So you ain't gonna be in my phone after 2 weeks.
Yeah,
bro.
I just want to know if y'all can give a shout out. I hear C Pleasant. When y'all can give a shout out to Colonial Village, then y'all can give a shout out to Hickory Hill Bradford Place after that, man.
I got you.
Silver Hill Road.
Listen, I grew up on Silver Hill Road. Okay.
When you grew up on Silver Hill Road, I'd say right to Hickory Hill.
Right behind the Goodyear, across the street from Susan Station.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Look at this. Hey, Shawn, we appreciate you coming in. And one thing before we leave,
so much
somehow
back on again, because your Wi-Fi is horrible.
Your Wi-Fi horrible right now.
Yeah, your Wi-Fi a little choppy too.
Relax.
We lost him. I was gonna say, yeah, I think he's out of here, Nika.
Oh wait. Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, wait. I was gonna say, he gave me a game jersey one time.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me a game jersey, and I need that sign so I can put it in a frame. That's where I was gonna go with. Yeah, a game jersey, like the real deal joint. Me and Eric went to a game, and he blessed me with a game jersey. So, yeah.
Well, that's what's up, Spring Roll. We appreciate you, big homie. We see that our other guest is in here, so we're gonna let the big homie DJ D Money spin, and we will bring our next guest coming back in a few minutes. Hopefully, our Wi-Fi will sustain and hold up. because this has been an interesting day in the Blend Show history. Wi-Fi and heat must don't go good together.
D-Money, do your thing.
Let's go.
Hey, Trina. Easy work. 1-4 Honeys is in the building, y'all. Super Cool was here.
DC Zone.
Zone team.
Colonial Village, what's up?
Hey, Trina.
My man Shawn Springs was in the building, you heard me? Hey.
I tell all my hoes, break it up. Break it down. Back it up. Fuck it up, fuck it up, fuck it up. Fuck it up, fuck it up, fuck it up. Fuck it up, fuck it up, fuck it up.
You know how the Blend Show do it, Tio?
I tell all my hoes, break it up. Break it down.
Southside, what's up?
Back it up. Fuck it up, fuck it up, fuck it up. Back it up, back it up, back it up. 1, 2. Let's go.
Let's go.
Shut it down. 1 5.
Yeah. It's Killer Cow, the animal, talking about my man DJ D-Money.
It's the Blend. Let's go. We make it do what it do, you know what I'm saying? Word. Thank the BJ for checking in. We gotta make sure we get BJ inside the Blend too. See, Pleasant, what's up?
Break it down, back it up.
Say what? Oh, my Uptown, what's up? Northeast. PA. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh yeah. It's a reunion. Right there.
Somebody knocking at the door. Let's go.
If I hit 2 times in a life, if I fuck 3 times, I'm a wife. It ain't safe for the black or the white girl. It ain't safe, it ain't safe, it ain't safe, it ain't safe. Like a big pipe box on a pipe. The racks on the safe, put it right up in my face. You can turn the back, set it for life.
Word.
Hey, they for the foe. Fuck with me, get some money. It's easy. Fuck with me, get some money. Lay it over. Fuck with me, get some money. Smoking guns. Fuck with me, get some money. Southside. Fuck with me, get some money. They want flow.
What?
Fuck with me, get
The
some
who?
money.
Uh-oh.
Fuck with me, get some money.
Let's go in the crate. Let's go in the crate. Let's go in the crate. Shout out to my man 32.
Yo, we get the haters in the air with the A. Get them up, goddammit.
Man, Trey Deuce, aka 31 plus size. I'm jamming right now to my man, DJ D Money. DJ D Money, spin me a record.
Swear to God, man. Swear to God, man. And I know y'all, man. Y'all good, and I know y'all, man. I know y'all, man. Greasy, in the greasy. Greasy, in the greasy.
The Blend right here, Facebook, YouTube stream. Make sure you share this feed. Make sure you share this feed. Haters trying to ruin it. Haters trying to ruin it. It's the Blend Show. We back.
Yes.
Little music break. You know what I'm saying? Working on Boosie Vegas Wi-Fi.
Okay. I was just talking to somebody who, you know, the big homie will be back. So I just want you to know that the Wi-Fi just, you know. But anyway, our next guest, he is, and let me tell you something. And Nika Ray gets on me about personalizing my interviews. I'm going off interview etiquette here, but I must say that I have been doing youth programs since 1995. I worked at the Marion Barracks Youth Leadership Institute. When this kid was 14, 15, and 16 years old, he was one of the most dynamic kids I had ever seen in my life. There are times when you put in all this work, and D-Money, you've done this too, because you mentor UCB, and you know, we hope things work out. And when they do prosper and go on to do great things like going to it with Jay-Z, you happy. But let me tell you this next person that we got coming in here is amazing. He is the Ward 8 school board representative, and he is running to be the youngest at-large council member in the history of Washington, D.C. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Markus Batchelor.
What's going on, y'all? Good evening. Good evening.
How you doing, sir?
What's up? I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I want to thank you for taking up time, because I know we got you in the middle of campaign season. I know we are smack dead, you know, in the middle of it. But I do want to answer this one question before we get to the questions. I want to know the results that we've seen from the DC politics. Were there any surprises to you that occurred yesterday? And I know for me, I was personally surprised that Brandon Todd lost. Was there anything that shocked you as a young political guru that happened yesterday in the election cycle?
Yeah, so I mean, this election is like one we've never had before in the district, and the amount of obstacles that folks who really needed a voice in this election, the obstacles that they had to go through to cast their vote were absolutely ridiculous. But let me just tell you, by spending time out there with folks across the city who were waiting 4 and 5 hours in line, you know, I would have been okay, yeah, exactly. I mean, I would have been surprised by those results if I hadn't spent so much time out there with folks who were ready and hungry for change in our city, who wanted to make sure that their voices were heard and their votes were counted. And so I, you know, I would have been surprised, but quite frankly, I could feel it when I was out there. And so I, you know, I think, you know, the voters of DC really set a new era in government in motion, and we're going to seal the deal on November 3rd and make sure we get as many voices as possible at the table.
I am so inspired hearing you say that. I want to go vote again right now. So you are primary young. So could you just give a small bio, just, you know, for everybody who don't know, you could tell them your name, how old you are, and what was the thing that really sparked you to want to take on a mission like this at such a young age?
Yeah, so I'm Markus Batchelor. I'm currently 27 years old. And as you mentioned, I'm the Ward 8 representative and currently also the vice president of the State Board of Education. Before that, I served 2 years as an advisory neighborhood commissioner. I grew up, born and raised here in the city, born and raised in Congress Heights, still live in Congress Heights. That's right. That's right. That's right, Ward 8. And you know, I think what got me involved early, and you said it earlier, a big part of why I got involved in local politics was the time I spent at the Marion Barry Youth Leadership Institute, right, with other young people from around our city, but quite frankly, so many great mentors in that space who taught us the value of our own voice and that we could really take agency in our communities. And so since then, you know, I served as youth mayor while I was in the program, and ever since then, I've been involved in the community as an activist. Worked in government and nonprofit, really doing work on behalf of the people, and now got to serve. I'm getting to serve now, going on 6 years as an elected leader here in the city. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity.
Gotta drop one of them bombs for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What are some of the issues that you think need to be tackled that is not being tackled currently right now in just DC in general? Because I know for you running for at large, that is a whole demographic. It's not like you're in Ward 8. It's not like you're in Ward 7 or Ward 5. You're basically running to be the second or third to the mayor. Right. What are some of the issues that if you win, when you win and when you shock the world, what would be some of the issues that you really want to take on that you think does not get the attention that it deserves?
Well, I think all of the issues we're talking about are issues that DC residents have been talking about for years, if not decades. And quite frankly, just the things that we're addressing in some ways in government, but we're not investing enough in them, or we're not thinking of innovative enough solutions to really make progress. Clearly, I think we need a moral economy that expands the opportunity for folks to gain living wage work, where a $15 minimum wage is a floor and not a ceiling in our community. We got to talk about affordable housing across income levels, especially for our low income residents, reimagining public housing and making sure we put our dollars in deeply affordable housing. And then clearly, like if I had a top three, public education has to be on that list. I've been fighting for the past 3.5 years on the board, but I'm also a graduate of the public system here in the city. And so I understand that, right, the students and the schools that need the most support for some reason keep getting the least amount of resources. You know, schools that need the most support are getting cuts of hundreds of thousands of dollars or over $1 million a year. And so if we're talking about achieving equity in our city, but we're funding these priorities on systems that are inherently inequitable, we can't make the progress that we want. And so I want to bring that conversation, that experience I've had, but also that perspective to the council. And I think we'll be able to do a lot over the next 4 years.
Amazing. I think another question I would really like to ask, I know my co-host got questions. I want to know what are your thoughts on statehood, and why do you think this topic does not connect with the younger demographic east of the river? We hear statehood, and I really don't think people understand the pluses and minuses or the pluses and the benefits of it. Could you accurately describe what DC statehood is, and do you think it's a good thing? And what do you think the pluses and the benefits of it would be if we achieve statehood?
Yeah, so I actually one of the first ways I got involved in my community was as a student activist and organizer around the DC statehood issue. And when I got on campus at the George Washington University, I actually co-founded the DC Statehood Student Association to organize not just students here in DC, but students from around the country to advocate for DC statehood. So clearly, I'm in favor of it. What it basically does is put us on equal footing of all of the rest of the citizens around the country who, just like we do, pay taxes, even though we pay the highest per person in the country, and probably more in total than like 24 other states, right? Folks who send their young men and women to the military to fight overseas, but don't get democracy here at home. And quite frankly, the control that we need over our local laws, right? When we think about having marijuana legalization be the law of the land here in DC for half a decade, but us not be able to implement a legal market where the folks who have been disadvantaged, right, by that system can now seek profit in that system. The fact that we're not able to do that because of congressional overreach is just one example of why we need more control over our local affairs. So it gives us the representation we deserve as American citizens, but also gives more of our residents more control over our destiny as a city. And so that's why we need statehood, and we can't achieve that full promise with anything less than that.
Wow. Let me ask you, because he definitely enlightens my political side of my brain, because he always pushing that in my ear, which makes me, because I'm a Washingtonian uptown dude, born and raised, as Big G would say. But what me and E always go back and forth with, what I really don't understand is why. Okay, first of all, you're at large. So are you representing a Pacific ward, or are you about the whole city?
Yeah, so right now I'm representing Ward 8 on the state board, but I'm running for a citywide elected seat. Yeah.
Okay, so what I don't understand is, why do politicians just focus on Ward 7 and Ward 8? Like, you never hear Ward 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, it's always east of the river, Ward 7, Ward 8. Like, there are wards over here too. We struggle uptown too.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I think it's always easy to characterize the biggest problems we have in our city by the folks who are most acutely impacted by it, right? So when we talk about things like public education, the affordable housing crisis, access to living wage work, clearly, right, there are tons of people east of the river who are bearing the heaviest brunt of that inequality in our city. But going around the city since late September, early October, talking to residents in Ward 3, in Ward 4, right? All of us care about these issues, but we've got to measure our success as a city on how we provide opportunity for the folks left furthest behind. And so I'll always use my measuring stick, right, to measure that if we are serving adequately our residents left furthest behind, then all boats can rise with the tide, right? If somebody in Congress Heights has access to a living wage job, right, and affordable housing, chances are that the opportunities are opening up all over the city for folks who don't have that opportunity. So, we've got to measure it by the folks who are left furthest behind, but I agree, we've got to have a citywide vision. But what I've realized is traveling around the city, all of our residents care about those issues.
Okay. Great answer. One of the best ones I've heard yet. And
I spent a lot of time in Ward 4 last night, so I met a lot of neighbors up there, and clearly they're ready for change. And
yes, we are.
And I think they're gonna have a great representative in Janice Lewis George.
Yeah, Miss J. One thing for sure, I'm not a political dude, like I said, I'm not in it like E is, but I told that dude Todd years ago, if you don't touch the people, bruh, outside of camera moments, you're going to be a forgotten soul. And that's one thing that I will say to you. But coming from this man right here, I'm sure that you got my thumbs up. So
I appreciate
that's
that.
what's up. Nika?
Yeah, so just speaking on the policies that you said that you primarily would like to focus on and address, and it's you and others who are also fighting for these same policies and causes within our city. What can the city do? Like, what is it that they can do on their behalf to help push these policies where it's not just you fighting for them, but everybody fighting for them?
That's right. No, I'm glad you asked that. It's such an important question. My biggest philosophy is that our leaders in this city have to be both good policymakers, but also good community leaders. And through my 6 years in elected office, I've always tried to blend the two. That, right, I know that I can't go downtown and get anything done on behalf of folks who need it the most if I'm not bringing those folks with me. And so, right, you got to be a policymaker downtown at the Wilson Building, but you've also got to be a community organizer that's going to build that human capital to get those things done. And we know that because of the deep divisions in our city, you also need leaders who have a proven record of bringing people together, right? Like I said, I was an advisory neighborhood commissioner in Congress Heights, at the same time that the city was planning a multi-billion-dollar development at St. Elizabeth's, which you can imagine between, right, folks who had lived in the community for 30 days and those who had lived in the community for 30 years, right, there was a sore spot, but we brought those voices together to say, what kind of community do we want as a result of what's coming? How do we protect our long-term residents? How do we create new opportunities for residents to move here and grow and thrive? And how do we live together? Those are the type of things that I'm going to bring to the council, because on all those critical issues, we've got to make really big decisions on over the next 4 or 5 years. Education, affordable housing, living wage work is going to take building a coalition on the council, right? You've always got to have 7 votes, but it's going to take that human capital to really break down those doors and make sure that government's doing right by the people.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned St. Elizabeth, and I just want to touch on the topic of our go-go community, also being a part of it when it comes to getting our people together and having these events. Sometimes a lot of people in go-go may feel like it's a gimmick in a sense. It's like, oh, we use them when we need them, but when they need you guys, are not personally, but needing the services for them, we don't have it. So how do you build that bridge that, granted, you can't make everyone happy, but in the same sense, not make it seem like, or have that appearance that, okay, well, we're going to have Big G and the Backyard Band come out and perform for this opening, but then when they need a place to play because it's COVID-19, you know what I mean? Like, how do we build that gap?
Right. I mean, it's about having leaders right downtown who have that perspective, right? I grew up right on go-go. It's a part of who I am because it's a part of who DC is, of what DC is. And if we don't, right, if we use them right as that gimmick, right, that draw just to bring folks together around election season or around some event, it doesn't give right these pioneers, quite frankly, the respect that they deserve for really right bolstering a unique culture and unique form of art here in this city that all of us can really own. And so I was at a forum a couple weeks back where we talked about right those critical issues where right New Orleans and Nashville, right, right, their native music, the native culture, the food that's associated with it, because they invest in it as a government to make sure they promote it to the nation. And we need to do the same thing here, right? When we talk about cultural tourism to the city, there's no reason, right, you shouldn't have a commercial that says Visit Washington that doesn't have a go-go song in the background, right? There's no reason, right, we shouldn't be giving support for things like the Go-Go Museum and making sure that, for instance, our Commission on Arts and Humanities sets aside dollars to preserve that culture for future generations. And so those are going to be things I'm going to support from the council, because I believe, right, it's bigger than right, just drawing people together when it's convenient, but it's an important part of our city's history, but quite frankly, has impacted the world around us. And I think people deserve to know that and appreciate that. And the city deserves to own it from the bottom to the top.
I have another question before E starts. So when it comes to voting, like we know how important it is to get not only just get your voice heard, but to get those votes to count, the votes to count. Yep. How do you get that person who may have never voted, whether young or old, or those people who just like, you know what, my voice doesn't matter? How do you get them out the house to vote? Or in this particular instance where we did have to have a mail-in vote because of COVID, right, to at least make it more accessible for them to vote? Like, how do you rally them up to come out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got to stop encouraging people to vote, just saying, okay, just go vote because that's what we're supposed to do. Clearly, I believe that, right? But that doesn't resonate with everybody. We've got to give folks things to vote for, right? And quite frankly, right, it's about both the message and the messenger, right? I'm keenly aware that if I'm elected as an at-large member of the council, I will be the first at-large member in probably close to a decade to live east of the Anacostia River, right? I understand what that perspective means, but also what that connection means to the folks who are over here, right? Where it's not just, right, Trayon White or Vince Gray banging the doors down about the issues that we care about, but that we're really putting these issues in a citywide perspective and really giving folks in these communities, right, the faith that all of our government cares about, right, the issues that are most acutely impacting them. So it's about doing that, right? Giving folks a message to vote for, but then it's also about getting on the ground and organizing. You know, the unfortunate conventional wisdom in our politics is that, right, the folks who are furthest left behind aren't going to vote anyway, so there's no need to engage them. We started, right, over a year before the election because we were determined to engage everybody and compete everywhere, and let everybody know that they count and that their votes will too. And we'll continue to do that over the next 5 months. Organize deeply in communities that have been left furthest behind. Build a new electorate of voters who are ready for change, and build that citywide coalition that's going to help us win in November, but also get that important work done over the next 4 years.
Wow, amazing. Once again, we have Markus Batchelor on the air. He's running for at-large council member. He is the youngest running at-large council member right now, so we wanted to know that. Let that be noted. 27 years old, Congress Heights home. For a voter or somebody who's watching you for the first time, enlighten us what you are passionate about. Like as a political activist, as a school board member, what are you passionate about? Like what is your passion?
Yeah, I'm super passionate about making sure we close the deep divides in our city, right? When DC has the reputation, but the statistical, right, distinction of being the most aggressively gentrifying city in the nation, when the gaps between, right, Black and white residents along income is the largest in the country, where the gaps between Black and white students or poor students and their more affluent peers haven't closed in any significant amount in 2 to 3 decades, right? Those gaps have permanent effects on what our city looks like and who's able to survive and thrive here. And so while I was lucky to have been in programs like the Marion Barry Youth Leadership Institute, right, that set me on the right direction, or was able to, right, have a nurturing and loving family, right, who made sure that I was nurtured at home, and great neighbors in my community who kept me safe and nurtured me and gave me productive things to do. I saw tons of, right, and on top of that, right, was able to get a quality education in my community and able to, right, gain employment that helped me sustain myself. I saw tons of my friends fall through the cracks because our system wasn't built and still isn't built to make sure that all boats rise with the tide, and that stories like mine aren't the exception but the rule. And so I'm passionate about closing those gaps and providing those opportunities for everyone. And those are going to require tough conversations over the next few years. But we need somebody who's going to be bold and aggressive enough to have those conversations and tell it like it is. And that's what I look forward to doing on the council.
Once again, we have Markus Batchelor, at-large, running for at-large council member. I'm sorry, go ahead, Nika.
I was just going to say, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, as far as your upbringing and being a part of the part of politics at such a young age, we understand where you're coming from in regards to how you were influenced to do what you're doing now. How do we get the younger generation to also be involved? I mean, because granted, when I was in high school, we had a rally every year for those who were old enough to vote, or if you were going to be able to vote in that next following election, to make sure that you were registered. Right. So, like, I don't know if that's still happening in school systems, because I haven't heard of it, but they literally had a registration booth beginning of election in the fall and towards the end of the school year. It's for those that may have, not been there or were becoming of age to be able to vote, but they didn't have that available for us. So when I turned 18 in my senior year, I was pressed to go. I was like, I gotta go vote. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to the pep rally. Right. So, like, what do we do to get those younger people to be more involved as well, and to get them inspired to do more?
Yeah, well, I'll say the first thing that I'm trying to do is do for as many young people in our community as was done for me. So when I talk about, right, young people being the center of our campaign, I really mean it, right? We brought on a set of interns from around the city who are helping us spread our message, who are a meaningful part of helping us come up with policy proposals and things that make sense for their city's future, right? When we talk about making decisions over the next 4 or 5 years, I'm keenly aware that those decisions are going to ripple out for the next 4 or 5 decades. And those are years that me and younger people in the city will conceivably see, which a lot of our elected officials can't say. And so when we think about like how we plan our future, young people are a really central part to the campaign. I'm also from the council going to support, I have been supporting as a community activist, but will continue to support initiatives that empower our young people, like supporting programs like the Summer Youth Employment Program and the Marion Barry Youth Leadership Institute. I've also said I'm in favor of lowering our voting age to 16 because we know that the earlier young people that vote, the more that the more likely they are to be engaged lifelong. That would enfranchise just here in DC 11,000 young people. 70% of them are Black and brown. So right, when we talk about expanding the electorate and really driving folks who look like us into the voting booth, doing things like that are going to be important. And quite frankly, we know that we've got to make it easier for people to vote. So people shouldn't have to wait in line 4 or 5 hours. People should be able to rely on a mail-in process, which failed them time and again during this process, and we've got to fix that. But we also should have automatic voter registration instead of having folks opt in. Those are the type of things that help build a culture of voting that can be passed down from generation to generation. But unfortunately, in our city and quite frankly across the country, we expect folks to lean into that process instead of the process leaning into them. So we got to do a better job at that.
Marcus for president, y'all.
I love it. This boy's sharp. Okay, so I know that we are winding down, so I would love to. I have a 2-part question. I don't know if Money got some more questions.
Nah, go ahead.
For somebody who's watching and they don't necessarily know who you are, number one, since you're running for at-large council member, which means you will represent the whole city, what would be your message to the disenfranchised voter in Ward 7 and Ward 8 who do not know you? Tell them what is the benefits of voting for Markus Batchelor and the reasons why they should at least research you and look at you as a valuable option.
Yeah, I think, quite frankly, as many votes and there are only 13 members of the council, as many votes as possible that have, again, both that right experience, but that right perspective to understand, the issues in our city, to understand the issues of the folks who are struggling, the folks who have that perspective of getting the short end of the stick and will go to government and never forget that. I think that's the perspective we're working to bring to the council. I think, secondly, it's time for a new generation of leadership in the city, right? It's not a mistake, right, that folks like Janice Lewis-George, who's in her 30s, and quite frankly, right, either in Ward 2, either Brooke Pinto or Patrick Kennedy or Jordan Grossman will win in that race. All of them, right, under the age of 40, under the age of 35, right? Folks are hungry for a new generation of leadership, and we're looking to expand, right, that group of young, progressive, community-oriented candidates on the council. So I would say we've got to turn out and support a new generation of homegrown leadership in our city. And then third is that, service to my community is in my blood. And I've dedicated my life's work to the residents east of the river, but quite frankly, all the residents of this city, whether it was working in government, at the Youth Leadership Institute, or for the mayor, whether it was working in nonprofit at the Far Southeast Collaborative, helping our most vulnerable families get a new lease on life, or being elected in Congress Heights as an ANC or across Ward 8 as their school board member. I've always worked to be an honest broker, to do what I say, to keep my promises, and to also not be afraid to propose bold solutions to our toughest problems. And that's what we need most now as we recover from this crisis, but also set ourselves on a path to create a more equitable city that works for everyone. And I'm going to go to work every day if given the opportunity to make sure that we achieve that vision for all of us.
So I guess my other question would be for the person west of the river, wards, especially Ward 5, 2, and 4, what would your message be to them to say, maybe you could use a change in at-large council member? What would be your appeal to them, to those voters who may necessarily be okay with the leadership, but may necessarily will be open to a change at it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for folks all over our city, and I think we saw it in the results of last night's election, and hopefully we do in November, that folks everywhere are ready for a change in government, that we're tired of settling for less or choosing the lesser of two evils, that we really want not just a candidate we believe in, but a message that we do, a mission that we do, and that we've got to stop sending the same folks to government and expecting different results. That if we want government and our systems to work better, if we want our systems to be more fair, more free, more just for all of us, right, which is going to be a net benefit no matter where you sit on the income level, no matter where you live in the city. If all of us have the opportunity to thrive, then all of us will do better. But for so long, our politics and our politicians have pegged our progress as a zero-sum game, that if we invest in one thing, we've got to take from another. And in a city as prosperous as ours, with the brain power that we have and the human capital we have, we can figure out how to do all those things. And we've got to stop settling for having to choose between, right, for instance, principals having a mental health tech in the building or a librarian. Those are false choices, and we need to stop taking those false choices from our leaders. And I think, for everybody, that's our message, that we're going to go and fight for everybody. We're going to make sure everybody has an equal voice at the table, but we're going to make sure we spread our resources equitably, because we've got some work to do to right size our systems and fix our city. So I'm going to be focused on that, but clearly I'm also going to be hands-on with all the residents in our city.
Wow, incredible. Markus Batchelor, he's running for at-large council member. D-Money, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm listening as west of the river.
I just want to say
Impressive.
this. I just want to say this. Man, it is so refreshing to see the man that you have turned out to be. I don't want to get emotional. When you dedicate yourself to these youth programs, you don't know how it's going to turn out. I have to be honest with you. Sometimes you think about the kids that you lost and didn't make it. And I know your personal story, that you had two friends who did not make it. And I know what you have really overcome. You're an amazing person. I'm rooting for you. I'm here, whatever you need. And let me say this. You make all those days and these youth programs working. I am rooting for you. I implore everybody to please follow him at Markus for DC. Please research him. He is the leadership that you could use. And at some point, younger people in DC have to learn to get a seat at the table. And when I see you, I see a seat at the table for a lot of people that have been disenfranchised. Man, I'm wishing you nothing but the best of luck. Thank you for taking the time in the midst of you campaigning. And let me say this, bro, I said it off record, I say it here. Whatever you need from me and this platform and us, we are here for you, bro. I don't care what it is. I will roll the dice, and I don't care what nobody say. I know we're going to see you in politics in DC soon, man.
I appreciate that.
Any last words before you go, please? Please.
Oh, man, no, yeah. Let me engage with us. Follow us at Markus for DC. Engage with us at markusfordc.com. Join our effort. We're going to need all hands on deck. Now that the primary is in the rearview mirror, this is really the race that folks will be paying attention to between now and November. So we've got to put our best foot forward and go get those votes. So we're preparing to do that, and we hope you'll join us.
Wow. Once again, Markus Batchelor, he is running for at-large council member of Washington, D.C. I believe, and be clear, because I had a conversation with a political guru about this. Markus only needs 5,000 votes. Really, the
more than that.
The number that we're shooting for. No, this is real talk. I know we joking and we laughing. Yeah. And we can get 5,000 young African-American disenfranchised people to take themselves to the poll in November and shock the world. That's right. Trust me, this is a winnable fight. They think it ain't. This is a winnable, and we're going to shock the world in November.
That's right.
5,000 is our target number, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's go shock the world. 5 months to go.
Absolutely. Thank you, my brother. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'll be
Thanks,
talking to
man.
you soon, man.
Love you too, man. Thanks. See
All
y'all.
All right,
Thank you
now.
so
Keep
much.
it up.
All right.
Appreciate that. Thanks, y'all.
Absolutely.
All right.
Somebody else got to take it because I'm trying to collect myself right now.
I mean, he spoke very well. So it's good to see someone young of that stature just willing to go hard and have that great impact of the city, because not everybody gets to have that influence at such a young age being in the city, especially like now with the, protests and everything that's going on. You can see how a lot of people grew up and what they have been affected by being here. And it's not always positive. So I'm glad that he was able to have that influence and have you in his life to, guide him, because not everybody has that.
Absolutely. So
I'm sure he's definitely going to win. I wish I could vote for him.
Well, we will. We'll just forward your address. Anyway, D-Money.
Making them corrupt already.
I know. Voter fraud already. I just teed up, and now I'm voter fraud on live television on YouTube, bro. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's up on the 10 o'clock hour. It's been a very interesting educational show. Shout out to our man Shawn Springs. Glad that he
get your Wi-Fi together, Shawn Springs. Come on, bro.
We're gonna work to get him back in here inside the Blend Show for sure. That's the big homie, as Bootsy Vegas would say. I guess in closing, Nika Ray, you got some love shout outs real quick.
And just shout out to our city and the rest of the world who's supporting us. And when I say us, you know what I mean? And I know that it's a long road for recovery, and a lot of people are suffering from mental health and things like that. Like, we need to be in the forefront and continue to be engaging with each other and with others as well, to make sure that we aren't silent. So shout out to everybody that tuned in tonight. And thank you for our guests, Shawn Springs and Marcus, for joining us today, especially amid what's going on in the world. And that's it for me.
Bootsy Vegas.
I just want to thank everybody that actually tuned in. This was an amazing show. I really enjoyed it, despite Shawn Springs' poor choice of Wi-Fi. Bruh, you about to hear from me in a very few minutes. But shout out to Marcus. Once again, please follow him. He's running. And I think the great thing is that, and I humbly say this, it's a lot of shows out there. We see you coming back. It is levels to this. And my only advice to you is don't poke the bear and let sleeping dogs lie. It's a lot of things you want in your life, and this ain't one of them. Thank you for listening. We appreciate y'all. This is a brand. But at the end of the day, we're also informing and enlightening people. And I want to thank y'all, the people who listen, and this amazing team, this amazing group of here. We're continuously raising the bar. And I'm proud to say I know you, D-Money. Oh, my bad. You too, Nika Ray.
Well, you know what? And we probably don't say this enough, but I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. And amidst of what's going on, I just want y'all to know that, because tomorrow's not promised and you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Last thing I want to say before I go, rest in peace, Tony Reds. You go ahead, D-Money.
Absolutely.
Hey, with that being said,
done with you, done with you. We have fun with you, we done with you. Hey, fun with you, done with you.
Shout out to everybody that hung out with us all the way through.
Hey, fun with you, done
Be smart.
with you. We have fun with you.
Never forget the bridge that brought you over.
Hey, fun with you, done with you. We have fun with you.
And in the words of Donnie Simpson,
hey, fun with you,
shoot for the moon.
We have fun with you. We done with you.
Because if you miss,
hey, fun with you, done with you.
You're still among the stars. That's the Blend Show. This was a wrap.
Fun with you, done with you.
Each and every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, right here. All right? Facebook, YouTube streets.
Turn your radio up. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. Turn your radio up, homie. Listen to this. Hey, listen to this. Listen to this. You turn your radio up, cuz. Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. Turn your radio up, cuz. Listen to this. Listen to this. Here we go. Hey, they need crank. They need a dog crank. Oh, listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. Come on. Hey, they need crank. They need a dog crank. Here we go. DMV. Go girl worldwide. Hey, turn your radio up. Be money, Nika Rebels in Vegas, said it again. Turn your radio up. It's the blend, it's the blend. Be money, Nika Rebels in Vegas, said it again. Turn your radio up. It's the blend, it's the blend.